President's Chief of Staff, who, as I mentioned, will join us in a bit, says the missile strike on Syria earlier this month in response to a chemical weapons attack is part of a new approach. Correspondent Rich Edson is at the State Department tonight to tell us what that may mean. Good evening, Rich.
Good evening, Brett. And a senior administration official calls it the Trump doctrine, what the White House would describe as setting lines against bad actors without committing to long-term ground wars. An example of that policy, the U.S. strike against an air base in Syria in response to a chemical attack against civilians. The United States blames the regime of President Bashar al-Assad in Syria for this month's chemical strike. The U.S. wants Assad's ally, Russia, to join the international efforts to move Syria beyond the Assad regime. The State Department says thus far, Russia's position remains unchanged in support of Assad.
Russia and Iran, who are aiding and abetting the regime, to convince the regime to renew this process, to restart the Geneva process, so that we can get to that political resolution.
And you haven't seen any movement towards that?
There's been no movement, no.
Russia is also denying the accuracy of a French government report claiming samples from the deadly Syrian attack bear the signature of the Assad regime. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov dismissed it as well, saying Russia wants more evidence. According to Russian state media, Lavrov says, quote, "We cannot act in accordance with the principle Arnold Schwarzenegger's character defined in the following way. Trust me. We opt for the principle outlined by Ronald Reagan, which says trust but verify." He also continued criticizing the U.S. for that airstrike.
The recent U.S. airstrike against the Sharat Air Base, which has become a rude violation of international rights and an act of aggression against a sovereign state, indeed worsens problems at hand and pushes the prospect for a wide international front on terror even further away.
Secretary of State Rex Tillerson has also said that Russia is the key to moving beyond the Assad regime in Russia. It's a point that he made to the Russian government in Moscow a couple of weeks ago, and it appears as though the Russian regime is no closer to the U.S. position. On Monday, the United States announced sanctions against more than 270 Syrian government employees who officials say are part of an agency that works on chemical and ballistic weapons. Brett?
Rich Edson live at the State Department. Rich, thank you.